Hello and welcome to Ben's neat and novel backcountry gear and gadgets, the show where I ramble on about some of the new and most useful devices for backcountry travel. On today's episode, we'll be talking about the Steripen Ultralight, a UV water sterilizer, which is capable of removing the effects of viruses, bacteria, and protozoa, and is remarkably lightweight and packable. This device retails for about $100 Canadian. Now, if you've never seen or used a UV water purifier before, it's a proven technology that's been used all the way up to industrial scales for neighborhoods or small towns, down to a single backpacker who might be using a device like this to treat a bottle of water from a stream or a creek. The usual disclosure at this point, I paid for this device with my own money, and I am not affiliated with Steripen in any way. UV purifiers such as this device contain a high-intensity UV lamp, which outputs high-energy UV photons. And these are useful as viruses, bacteria, and protozoa are susceptible to UV light. When those photons reach them, they disrupt the DNA and RNA, rendering those organisms unable to replicate, which if they can't replicate, they're not a problem to you. So that is one difference between a UV purifier and some other techniques like filtration, in that those organisms are still in your water, they aren't a problem anymore. If you're interested in some of the theoretical underpinnings of how these devices work, there's a link below to a paper from 2015 which used a different Steripen device and compared how effective it was to actually treat water in real-world situations with a variety of containers as well as organisms. And it's worth checking out if you want to take a look. If you were to pick up the Steripen device itself, it comes in a nice little box like this, consisting of the device, a USB cable, in this case it's a mini USB cable, as well as an instruction manual, which the instruction manual is actually quite useful for what's on the back page here, as it shows what the various combinations of green and red lights this device will output actually mean. Which you can see there's a few different combinations, some of which mean water is treated well, some mean it is not. Generally green good, red bad, but good to keep this or take a picture of it on your phone so you know what the device is telling you. It is also worth noting, if you look at the back of the box here, Steripen describes their ideal use for different types of their devices here. And the Ultralight, it says, is mostly for travel with the airplane icon. It does not say for backpacking, despite the company where I bought this from marketed it as a backcountry device. I think that's generally caused by it just doesn't seem to be that durable. Feels like if you were to drop it or smash it on a rock or something, it would fly into a million pieces. So personally, what I have been doing when I've been using this device in the field is taking a toque, wrap the Steripen in it, toss it in a Ziploc, and that gives it a little more protection. And generally, the device will be a little safer that way, but not sure if you really have to do this, but if you treat the Steripen as if it was a fancy camera, it'll probably still work for you in the field. Now, the Ultralight Steripen is not the first UV sterilizer I've used. I've used the much larger Steripen Classic 3 for about 2.5 years now, for both personal and work trips, and found it to be quite useful. It is bulky, and it does require 4 AA batteries, which my main concern with this in the past has been just having these batteries, which adds a bunch of extra weight, and I don't generally carry other things that need AA's, so it's kind of dependent on this. Other concerns I have noted with this Steripen, which carried over to the new device, is you need generally clear water. The more turbid or more sorts of particulates in your water source, the less effective it's going to be. So certain kinds of environments where your water sources are really muddy or full of glacial till, that's not going to work that well, but that's a problem common to all UV sterilizing devices. Comparing the weight of these two devices, we'll get a quick check here. First, doing the older Steripen Classic 3, if I can hook onto it here with my scale. Okay, this outputs just around 200 grams, and that's with batteries included. The newer Ultralight Steripen doesn't really have any nice hookable surfaces, so I will use a small bag and then re-tare the scale. This measures 70 grams, which is what Steripen quotes, and that's a considerable difference from the older device here. Other than weight difference in size, the main difference between the Steripen Classic 3 as well as the Steripen Ultralight is its ability to be recharged via USB, which it has through a USB port in the top here, USB Mini, which if you look at Steripen's specifications, it says you can probably treat about 20 liters per full charge of the battery. General operation of a Steripen Ultralight consists of some water. In this case, a 1 liter bottle works pretty well. The Steripen is designed to treat 1 liter at a time. Which, if you look at the device itself, we have our lamp, and then we have 2 contacts here. These will detect when it's immersed in water, and then it'll turn on the device. There's no actual on button. No on button, no off button. Just USB port, sensors, and there it goes. So in this case, we have our water bottle. Take device, put in. And pretty quick, you should be able to see. Treatment time for 1 liter of water is quoted at 90 seconds. And during that, you can see there's a green light blinking on top of the device. That will keep blinking until it's done. At the end of its cycle, it will display a combination of either green or green and red lights. And that's when you want to use the instruction manual to tell you what those mean. As you might think, this is kind of a time-consuming process to treat 1 liter at a time, which is one of the drawbacks of the device. And there we go, full green, good. Good treatment. And with that, we'll take this device out into the field and see how it does. So I've been using the Steripen Ultralight for about a month and a half now, and I found both some good things and some bad things about it. For the positives, it is quite light, extremely portable, fits literally in your pocket and you can take pretty much anywhere. It also has a long service life, rated for 2,000 liters of treated water. That is a lot for one person or even a team using it. One thing I really appreciate in this device also is that it does not affect the taste of the water, which anytime you're using something like tablets, usually it'll say it does not affect the taste, but you can usually tell. This does not affect the taste whatsoever, which is quite great. In terms of negatives for this device, probably the main thing that sticks out is you have to treat 1 liter at a time. So it's not really a production device. If you're in like a base camp setting and you want to treat 20 liters of water in a row, you'd be kind of sitting there just with your Nalgene bottle at 1 liter, twirling it around for 90 seconds, and then swap, repeat, swap. In that sort of setting, you're probably better off with something like a filter, especially a gravity filter. You can just set and forget and it'll treat a lot of water in a row. Another downside, this device does have to be recharged. I found I can get probably about 17 liters per charge cycle out of it. Steripen quotes 20, but I usually am treating water that's very cold, which might have something to do with it. Getting a little bit lower than what they quote. Which brings me to another point, that if you look at the manual that comes with this device, there's a little LED in the top, and after a treatment cycle, it'll flash a combination of red or green colors. And if it's green, red, it means the device is getting low on battery, please recharge. Which I found, if you're treating really cold water, that'll happen after your first sterilization cycle. Even if you've just charged the device and that's your first cycle since charging it. So I think that's probably just to do with the temperature of the water, but I don't know, just something to keep in mind. Even if it does display that combination of lights, I personally have still been able to treat 12, 14 liters after that point. So in terms of an overall rating, I would recommend this device, particularly if you're a fast and light type of person, maybe going on solo trips or teams of 2, something where you're not going to be treating a ton of water and where you're going to be using this just for drinking water. You'll be carrying a stove and all your other cooking and stuff will be treated by boiling. Just a handy way to, when you're in the field, zap a liter, chug. Maybe you don't have to carry so much. And yeah, that's it for now. Happy trails.